How's it going, everyone? The PlayStation Store is running its end of the year sale, and we already highlighted some deals under $10. Now for some deals under $5. This sale is honestly pretty stacked as I'm looking through it more and more, and we looked at the deals under $5, obviously getting the games ready for this video. I'm like, damn, this sale's got a lot of good deals and quantity as well in terms of quality, quantity and quality, I should say. So yeah, definitely check out this sale for yourself. I know some of you guys were disappointed by the Black Friday sale, but I think this sale was pretty damn good. And obviously this isn't all the deals under $5. We might do another video just like all the games that we covered in the under $10 video. That certainly wasn't all of them. So with that being said, let's get right into it, and let's start things off with quite possibly the best deal I've seen thus far, and that is the Shadow Warrior Collection. 90% off for $4.99. This gets you Shadow Warrior 1 and 2, and both games I think are super stylish, fast-paced action titles. These games aren't going to compel you that much from a narrative standpoint, but in terms of gameplay, in terms of just being a fun action titles, first-person action games, these games are pretty damn good and very, very enjoyable. If you kind of just want to mentally check out sometimes and, enjoy a no-nonsense action game, Shadow Warrior is going to give you that. At the same time, it can get fairly challenging, but $4.99, I think this is a great price and definitely would give it a recommendation. To get both games at this price, I mean, that's ridiculous. Shadow Warrior 2 is definitely the better game, but Shadow Warrior 1, even though it's over a decade old at this point, which is wild to think about, still a pretty good game in its own right as well. Next up, we have Resident Evil 5, 75% off for $4.99. Now, obviously, this game is probably going to get a remake. I would imagine that the remake for this game is going to be out in 2026 though, so I don't know how long you guys want to wait to play RE5. Now, RE5 is a game that I thought was really good. It was a game that I really enjoyed when it initially came out. Obviously, back in the day, I remember people just being infuriated with the AI. Bear in mind, I'm 12 years old at this point when RE5 comes out, and people are just raging online about the AI in this game, and rightfully so. The AI was trash, but it was just funny to hear people rage as a youngster just going online and people just crapping on this game about the AI. But obviously, if you want the best experience out of Resident Evil 5, you should play the game with co-op. That is definitely how this game was designed for. The game itself was pretty solid. Definitely went even more in an action-heavy route, for Resident Evil, but it worked. And in the era that it came out, the peak of the 360 and the PlayStation 3 era, you can see why they went that direction. And RE5 was generally a pretty well-received game outside of the trash AI. But $4.99, good price on that. Next up, we got Mad Max, 75% off for $4.99, a game that I often recommend. This game came out on September 1st, 2015, had the unfortunate fate of being released on the same day as one Metal Gear Solid 5, and think of what you want about MGS5. We talk about, February being a stacked month for game releases and gaming. There's certain games that are going to get killed by competition. Mad Max coming out on the same day as MGS5, bro, that's a way to send your game out to slaughter. In the case of Mad Max, it was actually received decently well enough. I thought the game was really good from a combat standpoint. It performed really well, and the story got pretty interesting by the end. Now, we'll never get a sequel for this game, which is kind of a bummer. But what can you do? That's kind of gaming as a whole. But for $5, I think Mad Max is quite a good deal. Definitely would give that a shout. Next up, we got Dragon Age Inquisition Deluxe Edition, 80% off for $3.99. Now, I remember when this game came out in the fall of 2014, and in my eyes, this was one of the first truly great PlayStation 4 RPGs. Now, it was a cross-gen release. It was actually out on the PS3 and 360. A lot of people forget about that. And then, right after this game came out, 4 months later, Witcher 3 came out, or 6 months later, Witcher 3 came out, and, Witcher 3 obviously took that throne. But Dragon Age Inquisition was a really well-made RPG, and in my eyes as well, it's BioWare's last truly great game. I mean, does that say a lot? They put out Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda since then. Doesn't say much, but Dragon Age Inquisition was a well-designed game, a lot of content. Visually, I feel like it still holds up really well. 9 years later, I think this game looks really good, and for $4 with all the content that you're getting, I think this is a pretty good pickup. Next up, we got Little Nightmares, 75% off for $4.99. I always try to go to bat for this game. I feel like in an era where new IPs, it's hard to resonate, especially smaller scale new IPs, Tarsier Studios somehow dropped Little Nightmares, and somehow this game has just really clicked. I'm not saying it's a worldwide phenomenon as a horror title, but it's a well-made game. Its atmosphere is great, and I always say that's the most important part about a horror game. And, I mean, we got Little Nightmares 2. That game was really good, and Little Nightmares 3 is in development as well. It's not a game I would pay 20 bucks for, but if you're looking for a moody horror game, great atmosphere, gameplay's pretty decent, like $4.99 for this is a really solid shout, so definitely check that out. Next up, another horror title, Evil Within, 85% off for $2.99. Really good price on Tango Gameworks' Evil Within. I thought Evil Within 2 was the stronger game. Some people swear by Evil Within 1. I think both games are pretty good. Another really good horror game, more action-y, of course, than a Little Nightmares, but atmosphere-wise here is really good, and the narrative is decent. I wouldn't say it's like blow away, but I would say it's compelling enough to worthwhile, to keep you engaged and think it's worthwhile through the entirety of the playthrough. And $3, I mean, that's so cheap that I would highly recommend it. It is available on Plus Extra, but again, for that price point, really solid. Next up, Burnout Paradise Remastered, 75% off for $4.99. This seems to be one of those games I always recommend. It came out back in January of 2008, so legitimately, it's gonna be 16 years old soon, and I remember like picking this game up right around when it came out, and I loved this game as an arcade racer. I thought the soundtrack was great. Now, when it comes to like licensed music, and music that a 2008 game is gonna have, like, it's gonna be a little bit subjective, but when you got songs like Kill Switch Engage's My Curse, like, bro, that's gonna be right up my alley. And everybody talking about Dragon's Dogma 2, let me give you guys a factoid. I mentioned this from time to time when I talk about Burnout Paradise. So, Dragon's Dogma 1 had a great song, a great theme song. I forget the name of it, but it was awesome. It played in like the intro. It was done by a band called Biz, I guess is how they're pronounced. They have a song in Burnout Paradise Remastered as well, and it's awesome. That song is great, and I believe it's called Friction is the song in Burnout Paradise. It's fantastic. So there's your random factoid, and I feel like that was relevant to say since Dogma 2 getting a lot of attention right now. But yeah, Burnout Paradise Remastered as its own game, pretty solid. As an, you know, as an open world racer, there's a lot of open world racers these days, and Burnout Paradise obviously doesn't hold a candle to some of the more newer ones. Forza Horizon and whatnot, it shows its age for sure, but it's still a fun time, and I like the soundtrack, and the gameplay is pretty good. Has some dated elements, but that's what you're gonna get with a 16-year-old arcade racer. Next up, we have Castlevania, Requiem, Symphony of the Night, and Rondo of Blood. $2.99 on this. Symphony of the Night is one of the most iconic games of all time. Many consider it to be one of the greatest PlayStation 1 games ever released. Rondo of Blood is pretty decent as well. I believe Rondo of Blood came a stateside for the first time with the Dracula X Chronicles on PSP. So it was kind of like you know, one of those hidden Castlevania titles. But Symphony of the Night, obviously an iconic classic, and if you haven't played it, I feel like it's one of those games that is talked about so much that you should go back and play it just to experience, you know, one of those games that was defining for its era. $2.99 with PlayStation Plus, really good deal. $3.99 without. Next up, we have SOMA, 85% off for $4.49 without plus, $2.99 with plus. That $2.99 plus price tag is a steal. I love SOMA. I played it right when it came out back in 2015, and I thought it was an excellent horror game. In my opinion, Frictional's best title. I know a lot of people love Amnesia the Bunker as well, but SOMA for me was just such a great psychological horror game that really embodied a lot of the elements of being a horror game, not making you overpowered and really, you know, attacking the psyche. I feel like they did a really good job with that. And this underwater remote research facility, just fantastic setting, fantastic ambiance to the game, sound design, all of those elements are done so well. It is a super short game, keep that in mind. Like, it's not gonna, you know, you're gonna complete it within a weekend at most, but it's a really solid experience the whole way through, and it's one of those games that you might go back to every couple of years or whatnot. Lastly, I do want to give a shout to Super Meat Boy, $3.74 if you are a non-plus subscriber, $2.99 with your plus subscription. Super Meat Boy is a classic as well. It is one of those games that will enrage a lot of people, damn near have you break a controller and whatnot, but it's an incredibly addicting experience, and I would highly recommend you to at least give it a shot, even though I was damn near breaking my controller at several times. It's a game that I couldn't put down for a while, and as a precision platformer, I think it's a pretty well done game. Check it out at this price point. Again, not much to lose, and a game that can get pretty addicting, and it's always a fun game if you have like a crowd of people surrounded, not as a co-op experience or anything like that, but just having everybody, you know, pass around the controller and rage together. It's a good time, so check it out. But that'll do it for me. Again, a lot of great deals as a part of this sale across the board. I'll definitely do more coverage of it. We'll get to some more expensive games games as well, but it seems like you guys like the cheaper options first, so that's why there's a lot of retread, guys. We always do the under 10, under 5, and those games kind of stay what they are. What do you want me to do? Just pull new games that, you know, I'm trying to keep up with the games that are coming out regularly, and, you know, trying to go back and hit the backlog with a lot of older titles. It's difficult to do, so I hope you guys cut me some slack. I get it. It can get a little repetitive. My apologies. I'm trying to do what I can, but, yeah, that'll do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.